This is a report of projection in the mental body. Astral projection is, from my point of view, the infinite space of knowledge. But that's just my point of view. I know that the way I talk, it sounds like I want everyone to have astral projections. Actually, we can't demand anything from anyone, and think everyone is the same. That would be very silly. When I talk about this subject, perhaps even with a little happiness, I say it is fantastic, because you can do so many things with astral projection, that your physical limits have no importance. The limit we sometimes have in terms of health and everything else is not so important anymore. Astral projections have a meaning to me, that I consider the best way I could have achieved in this life. I feel that, because I've been able to have astral projections all my life, and continue to do so, it brings me a space of happiness that is not possible to describe to people. The only thing is that, when you're like this, the others think there aren't physical problems. Physical problems exist for all the people in this world. We are in a world that is occurred, a meatball of contradictory energies. We already know that. Or know more or less. Sometimes ignorance and not wanting to know also protects us from suffering. But the fact that we know about continuity, that the effort you make to learn more is worth it, it already solves a lot of problems one might have related to their own life. Astral projection, from my point of view, is something that frees you from a lot of problems. It clarifies life on both sides, the physical and spiritual. It gives you a much different perception of the world. It gives you a very different view of relationships and people. It shows how ignorant we humans are at this moment and in this phase of life. And how much we're wasting time for carrying this little bag of ignorance with us. This is just a comment about astral projection, before the report I'm about to give. It's a very simple report. I always apologize, because some details of an astral projection go beyond what we're used to. So, I try to take the best paths to pass what I consider to be common sense, for people to make the most of it. What I'm going to report is a situation of spiritual assistance. Each day, we really feel that this work is more important than anything else. While there is one person on this planet not feeling well, you can be sure that we still have something to fix. This is what happened. I went to bed at 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to report the process of leaving the body, because some people don't know. In my case, it's very fast. It has been very fast. I have to thank for that. When I lay down, my physical body was settling in bed, but I was already out of the physical body. There was a very linear situation, a lot of tranquility in the environment. I went to bed, I was out of the body, and it was very peaceful. The environment was absolutely balanced. Without seeing, I could notice the presence of some spiritual supporters. That gave me the idea of what I had to do. I went up, floating. When I came out over the roof of the house, I felt that my energies got more accelerated. Then there was that. It's like a hiss, or an extended violin call that doesn't end so quickly. A snap, which is a cosmic snap. But what we feel is not really happening. Then, I was with my consciousness in the mental body. When you're in this situation, and as I was over the house and there was a lot of vegetation around, you have the perception of everything that's going on. And that perception, that's why I say we have to work hard, in order not to invent things that don't exist. You succeed once, but then you can't do it again. Realities are different. You can perceive everything around you. All the animals, everything. I was perceiving everything around the house at the same time. You don't perceive things separately. It is everything at the same time, because it's a very different state of consciousness. In this situation, you don't need to float to anywhere. You already are in the places where you have to do the assistance. I often report, I went to that place, because otherwise people won't understand. Now, I feel more comfortable talking about it. I was already in a place, in a hospital, with a very large team of consciousnesses working. We had to do an activity of balancing the energies in the environment, because the doctor. I'm going to report because it's funny to talk about that. But the doctor is a spiritist. And he's a very serious person. So, that was one of the reasons to have such a big team so that he could do his job. The detail is that nobody in the hospital knows that he's a spiritist. That's very funny. He does all his things, but he's very restrained. Nobody knows. But we know. When you have the view from there to here, you know everything. We came from there to here. He started the surgery, and we started helping him. It was a cancer surgery, a very complicated thing. Looking from there to here, it is as if you were seeing an animal that can move. So, we worked very seriously to achieve a very specific consciousness situation. It was as if everyone were together, as one consciousness. Everything is done at a very high speed. In other words, compared to the movements of the earth, it is a very high speed. We can't even describe it. He could take everything out. He was a little bit doubtful if there was a mistake or something he hadn't seen. Because as he had done it very carefully, we stabilized him as well, for him to feel that everything was okay. Obviously, if that doctor watches this video, he will know how peaceful he felt after. Everything went very well, everything was peaceful. All the procedures were done, and the person was fine. This person is a smoker. That's one of the things we have to be careful, because you feed the disease. I'm saying you feed diseases. Yes, you really do. You feed the disease for it to grow. So, it's a good idea not to have addictions. They feed what is not good. That was what happened. My consciousness was in a very different state. Together with all that working group, then I felt absolutely alone, all of a sudden. Feeling alone doesn't have a negative connotation. It's more or less the loneliness of the universe. Suddenly, everything was gone, and then I realized that I was in the astral body, on the roof of my house again. I was very happy with what had happened, because each one of us has a day and time to leave here. And it's good to enjoy every moment to do what's best for ourselves, and for all the people who are around us. We have to be aware of that. In the astral body, I began to descend slowly. When I entered the bedroom, the sensation of having everything still and stable was occurring. It is a wonderful sensation. I could perceive consciousnesses in the environment. I returned to my physical body, and I stood up. When I got up, more or less 3.5 hours had passed. The time on the other side is very different. The report you have now is the result of the recording I made on my cell phone. I said everything so I wouldn't forget. I used to write, and I love it. I like writing. But now, it's easier to speak. That was how this astral projection happened. That's it.
Então, foi isso que aconteceu, essa projeção astral, né? E é isso.
Would you like to participate in a work of energy giving from afar that is benefiting thousands of people? Click on the link below for more information.